This is a difficult video for me to make. Not because I have anything necessarily terrible to tell anyone, or not because it's like my last video I'm going to make or anything like that, but it's just one that I've been putting off for forever, because this video has a lot of things in it that a lot of people are going to consider kind of downers. It's a video that I'm afraid might get a lot of people upset. It's a video that I'm afraid a lot of people might find disturbing. But it also needs to be done because I need to explain to everyone where I've been for the last 6 months, because I've not been around, as you may have noticed. I've been away, let's just say, for 6 months. And I've had a lot of people message me on Facebook, and people DM me on Discord and everything, and I've just kind of not been replying to them because I really felt like I couldn't, and I really didn't have much to say. And it's hard explaining all of this, so I'm going to try my best. And we're also going to talk about a few other things, as you can probably see from the title. And we're playing Minecraft, so feel free to watch the gameplay in the background. I am playing on the latest snapshot, the 19W39A snapshot that has bees that actually can do things, so feel free to watch that as well. But let's start just by having a discussion. And the discussion we're actually going to be having is about mental illness and depression. And like I said, this is a hard discussion to have. And it's a hard discussion for anyone to have, but especially me. I mean, I was raised not necessarily not to show weakness, but I was raised that this stuff isn't something you just talk about with random people. You don't talk about it with strangers. You don't talk about it with, acquaintances. Yeah, you don't even talk about it with friends. It's just something you don't discuss, even with family. I mean, that was just how I was raised. It was the 50s and 60s style of, doesn't matter how you feel inside, just paint on a smile and paint on a happy face and keep going. And pretend everything's fine and hide all of that under layers of falsity and bravado, and that's what men did, especially. But women to a certain extent too. There's a reason that Valium got so popular in the 60s, because you had people who were having issues, and rather than confront those issues, they got prescribed drugs to take care of those issues, and that's not healthy. And we know now that's not healthy, but it still happens. So this is going to be difficult for me to talk about, because it is sort of skirting on some of those taboos that I had growing up, where you just don't talk about stuff like this. So let's get into it. I've wasted enough time here. I have been away for 6 months because at the time, back in February, when I had started streaming again and, talking to people and hanging out and all that, everything seemed to be hunky-dory, and I was having a good time, and we were having streams, and we were playing Fallout, and we were playing Skyrim and Minecraft, and I played No Man's Sky a couple of times. And everything seemed fine. I mean, I seemed happy and peppy. I look back at the videos, the VODs at that point, and I'm like happy-go-lucky self, sitting there eating dinner with y'all, joking around, having a good time. The problem is that it was, in large parts, I was painting on that face to convince myself that I was happy and everything was fine, and everyone else that I was happy and everything was fine. And it wasn't so much that I was trying to fool people into thinking that, or I was trying to pull one over on you. I wasn't. I genuinely enjoyed streaming. I genuinely enjoyed hanging out with everybody, and I genuinely enjoyed making content and having a good time doing it. But the problem is that behind the scenes, what you're not seeing is that I basically would turn off my stream, I would walk over to my couch, I would lay down, I would throw the heaviest blanket I could find over me, turn on something in YouTube, and that's where I stayed until I streamed again the next day. I just didn't have any energy to do anything. I was in such a terrible depression from everything that was going on in my life outside of streaming. Streaming was the only thing that made me feel good. But even then, it wasn't enough to make me feel good enough to actually be able to interact with people and feel good about myself. I was in just a terrible, terrible depression, to the point where I had honestly contemplated harming myself. I really had. And that wouldn't have been fair to everyone in my community to tell them that at that point. I didn't think, anyway. It's like, I can't do this right now just because I've got, problems with my brain. I didn't feel like that was something that I should necessarily come out and say to everyone, because that's just, it's not, to me it would have seemed like I was one of those YouTubers / Twitch casters that was just playing on sympathy for clicks and subs and stuff like that. And I'm not. I wasn't then, and I'm not now. And I don't want it to be construed that way. I'm not. I've got 172 subscribers. I don't care. I'm making this video because I need to make this video. I'm making this video because I guarantee, and if you hear a dog barking in the background, that's my roommate's dog. I'll tell you more about that later on. I guarantee there are other people out there that feel exactly the same way, that they look at their lives and they're miserable with what's going on. They're miserable with where they live. They're miserable with their job. They're miserable with, their personal relationships. They're miserable because they're overweight. They're any number of things, reasons why they're miserable. For me, it was personal relationships blowing up, and financial issues played into it, but not that much. I mean, I can always get a $15 an hour job anywhere. That's fine. But it was more, just my own brain rebelling against me, for lack of a better term for it. I felt like I was trapped in a terrible situation, and I had no way out of it. And I felt like that for a really long time. I felt like that for years. And I had no idea how to get out of it. And regardless of how good streaming and hanging out with all of my people in my community made me feel, it was always there. It was always in the background. And as I said, I guarantee there are other people that feel this way, and that's one of the reasons that I'm making this video, is that there are other people who I know are in that same exact boat as I am, and I know are having issues. So that's why I called the video Minecraft versus Mental Illness, because a lot of people that I have met in the gaming community, on Twitch, on YouTube, a few other places, seem to be kind of in the same kind of repeatedly destructive cycle that I was in, and I want to make sure that they understand that, yes, I was in that situation as well, and I want to be able to talk to all of you out there, because I think that not only are some of you in that situation, but some of you have friends that are in that situation. Some of you have relatives that are in that situation, loved ones, people you watch on various streaming services. Maybe you are one of those people that's streaming, but you have friends as a streamer who are having those issues. And I want to talk to you guys specifically in this video about all of this, because it's so insidious, because you go and stream and you have a good time and you're feeling good, and as soon as you turn the stream off, or as soon as you get done with whatever activity is that makes you feel good, it's everything just comes crashing back. And that's the boat I was in 6 months ago. Now, I wouldn't recommend what I did to anybody, because basically what I did 6 months ago is I decided, I'm in a bad spot. I don't feel good emotionally. I'm doing destructive things, just in general. I mean, nothing, I wasn't doing drugs or like drinking my dinner every night or anything like that, but just the habits I had formed were kind of personally destructive. And the funny thing about that is that you talk to, like, if you're depressed and you talk to other depressed people, and you seem to have gotten to the point where you're sort of out of your depression and you're a functional human being again, other depressed people will walk up and go, so what did you do? I mean, how did you do? And it's like they want to share notes. It's like, well, what I did isn't going to work for everybody. And some people I talk to, they're like, it's like they're trying to get ideas for different destructive habits to replace their own destructive habits. And it's like, no, that's not going to help either. You can't replace one destructive habit with another. You can't decide that eating a gallon of ice cream is better than drinking a fifth of Jim Beam, because you're not addressing the problem. You're not even addressing the symptoms. You're just covering them up. And that's one of the things that streaming was doing for me, was it was covering up the symptoms of the problem. And the problem, when it comes right down to it, was ridiculous amounts of depression. Now, depression runs in my family. I found this out sort of after the fact. I knew, like, my mother has bipolar disorder, and she's on medication for it, and she's a much more well-adjusted human being now. But it seems that it's actually been running in my family for the better part of the last 4 generations. So I have even more of a predilection to being that kind of depressive personality because I have genetics that are working against me at the same time as I have everything else. So finding that out, I was able to actually go, okay, well, it's not just me. It's been my mother, my grandparents, my great-grandparents. It's been everyone back like 3 generations. So knowing that actually helped open the door a little bit on how I felt, and it made me actually sit down and start confronting the problem. And the problem really was that I was in a situation where I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with my living situation. I wasn't happy with the way things are going. I wasn't happy with my health. I wasn't happy with all these things going on. So I blew everything up, figuratively speaking. YouTube, don't demonetize me. Or, well, I'm not even monetized. Never mind. You can demonetize me all you want. Anyway, so I sort of basically blew everything up. I got out of my apartment. I gave away most everything that I owned. I moved in with a friend of mine who was fantastic for having me there. I started doing like some odd jobs just on the side for money and just getting out. And I was doing construction work. I helped out a friend of mine who's a property manager at an apartment complex for a while. Tearing stuff out and doing, cleaning and pool stuff and things. I did the diametric opposite of everything I had been doing for the last few years, is what I did. I got out of that situation, I got out of that apartment, I gave away most everything that I owned, except for my books, of course, kept those books and my No Man's Sky painting and my artwork and stuff like that. So I gave away all that, and then got out of there, and then started, just basically trying to do like a soul cleanse. Now, I don't believe in souls, and I don't believe in God, but I was basically just trying to get all of that crap out of my life that had been weighing me down for years. Get rid of all of it. The toxic personalities, the toxic living situation, the failed personal relationships that either I had failed at or, other people had failed me. I got out of all of those and got away from all of that stuff. Just basically sat down and spent a good 6 months just sort of reviewing everything that had been going on. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought to myself, it's been depressing and I'm depressed, but there are still people around that give a damn. And there's still people around that would be very, very sad if I was no longer here. So that helped. My kids being one of them, family, close friends, all of them sent me or talked to me directly and said, hey, don't do anything stupid because we want you around. So that was enlightening. That was eye-opening. I was very glad to hear about that. But the other thing that kept me sane this whole time, it's going to sound stupid, I'm going to say it anyway. The other thing that kept me sane this whole time was video games. Minecraft in particular, but also, Fallout New Vegas and a few other games that I was playing off and on that 6 months. That was the only thing that would run on my laptop because I didn't have my desktop hooked up. The having close friends who actually gave a damn and having an outlet that I could just forget about things for a couple hours and just play some games and just get away from everything. Not worry about being entertaining. Not worry about being, the smiling, joking, old man Twitch caster or anything like that. Just go play some video games and have a good time for a while. All of those things kept me sane. All those things probably kept me from doing something dumb. And because of that, I decided I needed to make this video just to talk to people about it. Because there's been a lot of things in the news lately about video games causing violence, video games causing mass shootings. It's like, no, that's crap. It's the same thing people said 40 years ago when D&D was causing people to go out and do a triple homicide suicide, or rock and roll in the 50s and 60s that caused people to actually go out and be crazy and stuff like that. And that's crap. It's demonstrably untrue and unprovable. They've never proven links between television, video games, Dungeons and Dragons, rock and roll, or any of these things. It's stupid. Some people are just more predisposed to violent action than other people are. That's just what happens. That's what it is. Maybe they have, mental problems. Maybe they have mental illness issues. Maybe they have other things going on that we should be paying attention to. Psychiatric care in this country for pretty much anyone is kind of, it's up until recently, like I said earlier, it's, oh, you're depressed? Here, take some drugs. No. Let's actually talk about what the problem is versus giving people a boatload of drugs and thinking that's going to solve it. That's not going to solve it. Ignoring the problem is not going to solve it. Blaming video games isn't going to solve the problem. We need to actually address what the issues are. And the issues is, and I can say this 100% with certainty, is I have issues with depression. I don't know if it's chronic. I don't know if it's bipolar. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's bipolar because my highs aren't that high, and my lows aren't as low as I've seen some other people with bipolar disorder. I've been really low before and recently, but I've never been at the point where I'll go from manic to can't get out of bed or move, depressed. I've never gone that kind of scale. But I recognize this in myself, that I have issues with depression, and I need to confront the things that are making me depressed and actually face those. And some of those things are inside me. Some of those things are just my personality. Some of those things are mistakes that I've made. And I need to own up to that. And I need to address that. And I need to confront that. Doing a crap load of drugs ain't gonna be the answer, Ignoring the problem's not gonna be the answer. Blaming something else for my problem isn't the answer. So I empathize with people who have the same problem, but don't ever let anyone tell you that, oh, you're depressed because you play video games. You're depressed because you play depressing video games. You're prone to violence because you play violent video games. No, that's not true. Video games have kept me sane. Video games have actually been the best outlet I have had to get back to something resembling normal over the past year or so. Because I was a mess. I mean, I was an absolute, 6 months ago, I was an absolute mess. And actually confronting the issues and using video games as sort of like my version of Prozac, to be able to sort of take the weight off my shoulders when it was almost too heavy to bear, was how I've gotten through. So anyone who's out there having issues with mental illness or depression, I mean, I highly recommend video games. I really do, because it allows you, especially if you're playing a action role-playing game like a Fallout game or Mass Effect or something like that. It allows you to sort of get out of your own head and get into another character's head for a while. And the thing is that when you're in another character's head or something like that, it's not that you're ignoring the problems you got going on. It's not that you're ignoring your own issues, but you're letting your subconscious kind of grind on the issues while your conscious mind is sitting here having a good time, which is what I found. So it's, if you've got issues like that, just sometimes taking a break, doing something else for a while, and letting your subconscious grind on the problem will give you an answer. That's a good writing tool, too. It's a tool I use for writing all the time. Is if I'm writing something and I get stuck somewhere, I'll go do something else for an hour and just let my subconscious grind on it and come back, and I'll have fresh perspective, and I'll be able to actually start from there. Same kind of idea here is that you can just unplug for a little bit. I think that's something that a lot of people don't do in modern society right now. Is we're plugged into our computers, we're plugged into Instagram, we're plugged into Twitter, we're plugged into the internet 24/7. We're always plugged into everything. Play a video game, unplug for a while. Maybe go play a multiplayer game with your friends. Play No Man's Sky with your friends. Go and play some PUBG, whatever it happens to be. It doesn't matter. Or play a single player game. Play Minecraft. Go on your Minecraft server and hang out with people and just play on your Minecraft server. If you want to hang out with people, you can, but just go play Minecraft single player. Go play Fallout 4. Whatever gets you unplugged and out of that headspace so that you can concentrate on making yourself right, I would highly recommend. And that's something that video games have done for me, and that's why I think the catalyst for this was when I saw the whole thing that video games are causing people to be violent. I'm like, no, that's never been true. Ever. They've never proven that. It's not a provable link because it's not only not a provable link because it's patently false. People have been trying to blame anything they don't like for the last 500 years on for violence, or for doing the wrong thing, for teen pregnancy, for people listening to jazz music. I mean, it's been it's never ended. This has been something that's been going on for centuries. And I saw that and I went, no, this especially considering that video games is what video games and having friends and family that cared were ultimately drug me out of this depressive cycle that I was in. And to see people malign that really, really irritated me, because video games are great, and video games are great ways to actually give yourself a little bit of a break from real life so that you can deal with whatever's going on, especially where things like depression and mental illness are concerned. I mean, I have a cousin who has some issues, second cousin, and I know one of the things they do for her is they actually have various different simple video games that they can play that actually help with things like focus and pattern recognition and things like that. So it's how is this bad is my question. If it's actually helping people that have developmental disabilities or mental disorders, if we're using these tools to actually be able to help these people, then how can we turn around and then say that these same tools are causing people to be violent? It makes no sense. There's no causal link there. You know, it's correlation is not causation, and I don't understand how we keep coming back to this. That we time and time again, whether it's a political motive or a social motive or a religious motive or whatever it happens to be, how we come back to this correlation equals causation. Therefore, rock music is bad. Therefore, D&D makes people worship the devil. Therefore, video games make people want to go out and become an active shooter. No, that's never been true. It's never been right, and it makes me angry when I hear people talk about things like that, because I know it's not true, because it saved me. Video games saved me. My kids saved me. My friends saved me. So, and I put all those things about equal too. I mean, I know it sounds kind of strange, and if my family or friends are listening, I'm very sorry, but that's very true. It's all those things equally. If it had just been family, it wouldn't have mattered. If it had just been my friends, it wouldn't have mattered. If it had just been video games, it wouldn't have mattered. It had to be a combination of all those things, of my kids, my family, friends, and video games, all helping me to actually mentally heal myself to the point where I can be a functional human being again. So that's all I really wanted to say in this video. Is that's where I've been for 6 months. I blew everything up, and I'm starting over basically from scratch, because I needed to. I needed to change things, and I've had to do this before in my life, but not to this degree. I needed to blow things up. I needed to start over, and I needed a fresh, clean slate to do it with. Which is why it took me a good 6 months to get to the point where I was actually able to make this video. And I'm very glad I was actually able to make this video here. Now, I'm much better now, by the way. I'm in a much better situation, mentally, financially, physically. You know, I'm in better shape than I've been in 10 years. I feel things again. I'm not just this apathetic, depressed guy when I'm not on stream. I still a goofball. I still play video games, and I'm still firmly planning on returning to streaming and content creation. However, it's going to be a little bit different than before, because I have a job type job now. Well, not really. I kind of have a job type job. I'm more being a professional goofball. I got hired by a radio station here in the Colorado area. So I will be doing a lot of content for them. I will be doing my own show, and I will be doing a lot of guesting and live streaming and things for the radio station. So, in other words, I've turned what I was doing for Twitch into a career in a much different way than I thought I would. Because we've got a lot of exciting things that we're going to be doing. And I'll be posting some of that on my personal Twitter and on my Facebook page and a few other places as well. So there'll be more of that coming. So I definitely would encourage people to come over to the channel for the station as well, and I'll post more information about that as we go. Don't think this is a commercial for me or the station or anyone else, because it's not. It's just me telling you what's going on. It's basically my dream job. I have my dream job that I've always wanted, which was to basically be able to be at a radio station and, you know, build things from scratch and hang out with a bunch of people who think the same way as I do, that are all goofballs and hams. I mean, we're all hams. We're all a bunch of radio dudes. So, you know, we're old ex-radio jocks and ex-streaming jocks and people who are into music and producers. And that's who I'm running around with right now. That's who I'm mobbing around with. And it's been a blast so far. I've only been there for about 2.5 weeks, and I love it. I love the place. I love the people. I love what I'm doing there, and it's been really enjoyable. So you're going to see more of me in a different kind of way. I'll still be doing content for YouTube. I will still be doing Twitch streams, although I have some technology issues I've got to work out before I can get back to streaming with any kind of regularity. Mostly because the place that I'm staying now, that I'm actually living in until I find like my own place, I don't have a Ethernet connection. I have to basically use wireless. That you have to use the Wi-Fi, which is, yeah, it's got its ups and downs. It's got its pluses and minuses. I haven't actually tried to do a test stream yet to see if it would work. I don't know how well it would work, so I want to check that at some point. So it's just some technology issues that I've got for actually doing streaming. But content creation I can do all day long. In fact, I'm going to put the seed that I actually have playing on here that you can see in the video behind you here with Minecraft down in the description below. So if you want to be on this world, which is awesome, by the way, as you have seen, it's just a random world that I booted up in the 19W39A snapshot, and it's a fantastic world. You've got bees, you've got a village very nearby to you with 2 blacksmiths and a library. You've got 4 or 5 biomes right next to one another. I mean, it's a really cool scene. I will definitely probably be playing on this more. And I might do more episodes of this. I might do more episodes of Minecraft versus mental illness, just talking about people who have had issues in the past. Like, absolutely, if you run across this video either on my feed or on someone else's feed or just randomly, by all means, leave down in the description below, have video games helped you if you've had issues with, you know, depression or mental illness or developmental disabilities or anything like that. If video games have helped you to normalize yourself so you feel like that you feel good about yourself, you feel to the point where you can actually, you know, be a productive human being, be like a decent human being if it comes to it. Have video games helped you kick bad habits like drinking or drugs or anything like that? Leave those in the comments too. I want to hear from people that have had issues with this or anger management or anything like that. If video games have helped you to actually get yourself back to the point where you feel like you can interact with the world and not have to hide in your house away from everything that's going on, if you've had suicidal thoughts or anything like that, just anything along those lines, by all means, put them in the comments. I want to hear about things like that. And maybe I'll do more episodes of this, just talking about people commenting on how video games have improved their lives, how they've improved how they feel with their various different issues or their mental disabilities or their mental illnesses or whatever it happens to be. I want to hear about that, and I think other people want to hear about that too. And the thing is that it took me a long time to come to this conclusion, okay? It took me a long time to come to the conclusion that asking for help is not weakness. Not asking for help when help would freely be offered and is available is. And the other part is it's okay to not be okay. I know it sounds kind of trite, but if you're not okay, it happens. I don't know if I've ever met anyone that hasn't had something in their life go wrong and it's caused them to have feelings of depression or anger or anxiety or anything. I mean, it's just life. You're not going to feel 100 all the time, you know? It's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to actually talk to people and tell them, I'm not okay and here's what's going on. Because 9 times out of 10, like I said earlier, we've all learned growing up that it's best just to paint on the happy face and walk through life with the fake smile on and pretending that everything's fine when everything's not. Most people you meet are going to be like that at some point. I mean, some people may be like that most of their lives, and then behind the scenes they, you know, drink a lot or they do drugs or they're on, you know, various, like, on lithium or Prozac or what have you. So I mean, it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to actually go talk to somebody about it, whether it's a friend or a family member or a licensed psychiatrist or if it's professional help. It doesn't matter. go talk to someone about your particular issues. It's all right. It shouldn't be stigmatized. It's not something to be ashamed about. It just happens. You know, and this coming from the guy that doesn't share his feelings with anyone ever. And here I am sharing my feelings with the entire world, basically. The entire internet can actually log on and see how I feel, which is kind of a scary thought. But by the same token, it's a very liberating thought. It's a very liberating thought in that I am comfortable enough with where I am now and how I have been feeling for the better part of the last couple of years to actually be able to talk about it, to actually be able to address it, and in that way admit that yes, I was not actually confronting what the problem was. I wasn't even confronting the symptoms. But the fact that I am now makes me feel much better about not only myself, but being able to ask other people to do the same thing. If you are having some sort of problem, if you're having any kind of, thoughts about harming yourself, if you're having suicidal thoughts or anything like that, go talk to someone. Don't just sit there and pretend everything is fine when you know it isn't, and more than likely your friends and family know it isn't too. That's the other thing. Your friends and family probably know. They probably already know you're having issues. They probably already know you have problems with depression or anger issues or whatever it happens to be. More than likely, in fact, I'd say almost positively, they know. Talk to them about it. Get someone to actually listen to you. Get someone who you trust that you can go talk to about this. I mean, if you're religious and you want to go talk to your pastor about it, go. That's what they're there for. That's what people are more than willing to actually help you with these issues if you'll only just say something. That's the biggest thing, is the first step has to be on you. You have to be the one that goes out and actually talks about what's going on with your life. And by the same token, get some coping mechanisms that aren't destructive. I mean, don't drink and stuff like that, but get some coping mechanisms. For me, it was video games. For you, it might be sewing. It might be, playing cornhole at the park. That's an actual game, by the way. Never mind. It might be going and sitting in the swings for a couple hours. It might be going bowling. It might be making model ships and bottles or something. I don't know what it is, but use your outlets. Get an outlet for all those feelings and all of those anxieties that you have, that you can just basically lock your brain away for a couple hours and just concentrate on something else that you really enjoy and go from there. I can't stress that enough, that you need to have a good constructive outlet for the way that you are feeling. So once again, thank you so much for listening. I know this has been a long video, but I had a lot of things that I wanted to talk about and a lot of things that I wanted to share with everybody. And like I said, I'm not gone. I'm back to what I would consider normal. I will be doing more content. I will be doing streams on Twitch, and we'll also be doing things for my new job that I have that I'll be sharing more information with as it becomes available. I'm going to try and upload videos here while I'm getting my technology issues sorted out, so be on the lookout for those over the next couple of weeks, and going forward as well. So maybe Minecraft content, maybe No Man's Sky content, maybe Fallout content. It kind of just depends on how I feel that day. But I'm definitely willing to continue this series if other people are interested in listening more to it. You can also catch me on Twitter at Akoto Kusumoto. Discord is also Akoto Kusumoto. I'm basically Akoto Kusumoto everywhere you look. So if you see Akoto Kusumoto, you're more than likely going to find me. So definitely follow me on any one of those. And once again, folks, I really appreciate you taking the time to just hang out here. So make sure you go out tonight, play some games. Please play some games. Have some fun. I'll see you again soon. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really, really appreciate it. Have a good evening. I'll see you soon.